So today, I'm going to be giving my thoughts on Arcraiders. Now, I want to start off by saying I'm completely new to the extraction shooter genre, so this was sort of a big difference in what I'm used to playing. That being said, I wanted to give this a try due to the game being made by Embark, creators of course, the finals, and because I really enjoy the finals, I trust and believe in the devs to make a pretty good game in Arcraiders. That all being said, let's get started with my thoughts. So in the background, you'll be seeing my gameplay, and yeah, I'm literally insanely lost in this game. I understand that the general idea of an extraction shooter is that, you load in, you kill players or PvE enemies, you try to get out via the extraction points in order to keep any of the loot that you obtained, and yeah. However, of course, if you die, then you lose all your loot that you had on you. And that's kind of like the risk factor involved every time you load into a match, being that do you want to bring a lot of stuff into your next game? Or do you want to bring like a small amount into of your loot? So that way you don't gotta risk losing it all. That's kind of like the balance, I believe, this there. In a sense, it's very similar to that of a battle royale, where there's players and loot with varying rarities and densities scattered throughout the map for you to find. However, it differs in that there's also PvE enemies, as well as the fact that, well, again, you get to keep any of the loot that you successfully extract with, and simultaneously can also lose it. But that's kind of like briefly what an extraction shooter is on paper. So let's get into Arcraiders specifically. As far as the overall game feels and looks, I quite enjoy it. The gunplay feels groovy, the graphics is nice, mechanics aren't clunky, and for the most part, it feels pretty fluid. It being a third-person shooter is also a nice addition, and honestly, I can't really imagine this game like playing how it plays as a FPS. So I think they made a pretty good choice in making it a third-person shooter. This being said, while the overall gameplay does feel pretty great, I can't help but feel incredibly lost and confused while playing the game. Now I want to preface this by saying maybe this is just because I'm new to the genre and don't fully understand the intricacies and for like a lack of a better term, the values of the gameplay loop. But for me, I was invested doing a little tutorial, but after that ended and we got like kind of just pushed straight into a game, the first quest we had was to like find something and bring like parts for it. Don't quite remember like what exactly that was, but the quest was something like find a tick, and I'm over here just like, well, what's a tick? Where's a tick? Or when you gotta look for fabric, it's like, how do I know what that is? Like, perhaps maybe I missed all of this. Maybe the vendors do tell you, but don't think they did. Maybe they do. Perhaps it's on the map, and I just, missed it. Even then, somehow, something about the lack of direction, just a lack of like a way to kind of put you back on track or something, it didn't sit well with me. I just found myself mindlessly kind of running around the entire map in my first few games. Again, you'll see in the background here, I didn't even run into a PvP enemy. Found myself dying to kind of just the environment, just random stuff out in the field, which I understand this is part of the consequence of the game, but I just find myself kind of conflicted in this, in wanting to understand the unforgiving nature of the game, but also trying to feel like my opinion that perhaps the game could be a little more direct on what's on what things are could be valid. Like as an example, maybe they could show a picture when giving a quest or quests of what the item or enemies look like, perhaps like a vague description or where they or like on where they are, or maybe it's like add like a quest or something like that, and just show like what the actual items look like a little picture that shows like what the items look like, perhaps a vague description of where they are, add to the map or something, kind of like a little like checkpoint on the map, be like, oh hey, look, you can find this here. Be mindful though, I'm not asking for like a hand-holding situation where they tell you exactly where to look or go. I just want a better direction so it doesn't feel like I'm mindlessly running around and actively have something that I'm working towards. Now, direction aside, as this basically was my only real complaint with the game, which we can boil it down to, I would like to see a sort of story being progressed somehow whilst out on the field, and perhaps giving us a picture or general idea where to find certain quest related items or enemies. That's basically all I want. That being said, I did play this with a bud, and he had a couple of suggestions too that I kind of could agree with, and I wanted to kind of let those suggestions also be known. Shout out Call. So starters, as far as console, or I guess controller in general, goes, it would be nice if we can get maybe a cursor for moving objects around the inventory. And it could be just like a toggleable cursor, not like a, you always have it sort of thing. It could be like something like, oh, maybe you toggle it on in the settings, right? The quick add feature is really nice, but a toggleable cursor would be sick for specifically trying to move things in specific boxes. For example, like move stuff specifically into the safe box if you need to, because as it stands, unless I'm mistaken, to move something into the safe box, you might need to click, like, for me it was square. You might need to click square like 2 or 3 times on the item, and that's as the item is also jumping from like the inventory box and perhaps even your like medical supplies like box. You might need to go like, no, I want you over here. No, go here, please. Like, it's kind of a mess in that regard, but I don't think it's that bad. But it would kind of be nice to have like the option to have a cursor that could just go there really quickly. This being said, though, I do believe this is also stemming from like, say, Apex or maybe even other battle royale games where you can just kind of use your cursor to move over to a loot box and put stuff in your inventory however you see fit. So maybe this isn't even like something that's like really is that important, but yeah. He also feels the same thing that I feel regarding the idea of direction, and suggests perhaps adding some kind of goal, because as it stands currently, it doesn't feel rewarding or feel like there's a purpose to do the grinding as it stands, like the whole gameplay loop. I.e., why should we go in, try to get better loot? Why should we do all this? Like, go in and try to get better loot, go get out, use our loot. Like, why should we do this? Like, what's kind of like driving that goal? Like, what's the drive here outside of obviously, oh look, I'm stronger than this guy. Wee, like what's driving this home? And I kind of get it. To some extent. I kind of get it. I do think having like some kind of like overarching goal, or even if it's just like a, I don't know, maybe something simple like, we need more scrap metal. I think scrap metal is the currency. We need more scrap metal in order to keep the city function. Get out there and find more scrap metal, and then it's like some arbitrary goal that doesn't really matter if you hit it or not, but it'll just give you something to really be trying to work towards, so that way it feels like you're progressing something, even if it really technically you're not. I think that will definitely also help like the game a little bit, just having some kind of like overarching thing, again similar to what he was talking. But yeah, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys decide to check out Arcraiders whenever it releases. I think it releases later this year. I'm not entirely sure. I think it released later this year. Once again, this was, as I don't think I mentioned, this was a technical test number 2. So a lot of the stuff that I mentioned here, maybe like the story, if there's a story, maybe all this stuff is going to be introduced later. Maybe it wasn't available currently. Who knows? But I just kind of wanted to get my 2 cents out there. My unasked for 2 cents. And yeah. If you played Arcraiders, if you enjoyed it, by all means, let us know in the comments below. If you did enjoy it, let us know in the comments below. if you have any suggestions to me personally, as again, I'm new to this genre, by all means, leave them in the comments below. I look forward to potentially looking at any questions or taking any critiques or anything of the sort. Um, but yeah, I honestly am interested to see what the game looks like when it releases, and I'm sure honestly Embark would do amazing with it, no matter what happens. So, but yeah, without further ado, I bid you all adieu. Take care and peace. Bye bye.